Now, is it a miracle that we can heal somebody? Of course it is. But there are two kinds of miracles. Miracles we don't call miracles, and miracles which we call miracles. What's the difference? Here is a mother giving birth to a baby and put a new soul into it. Can you find a greater miracle? You look out of the window and you see flowers coming out of green shrubs and most beautiful, colorful flowers. Is there a better miracle than that? Our life is a miracle. We have a human body. Is there a greater miracle than that? There are miracles around us. 24/7, there are miracles around us. We don't notice them. We take them for granted. We say this is the law of nature. We have understood how it works, so it is not a miracle. Only that's a miracle which we don't understand. If we don't understand, then it's a miracle. If we understand, it's not a miracle. We have reduced the definition of a miracle to something should be extraordinary, should not be ordinary. Ordinary miracles are not counted as miracles anymore. That's a pity. That's not done. If you look at life itself and creation itself, it's a miracle. It's miraculously created. There's so much beauty and joy which you can see if you look at it as a miracle. But we don't. We take it for granted. And what is taken for granted has no value left. There is one relationship in which I have observed the difference between taken for granted and not taken for granted. It's called marriage. I don't know if you've seen, before you get married, you are in the best performance of your life. You try to please the other person. You are dating and you are so happy about it. The day you get married, something happens in your mind, you take both for granted. And life becomes different. So, it's only same relationship, same people. How come that just a single institution of marriage, just an institution, just a ceremony, can make this big difference in life that you can't see each other the same way like you did because you take things for granted. You take each other for granted. The same thing about life, that we are taking so many miracles for granted that we don't call them miracles anymore. Now, true miracles happen all the time, and there are miracles which can be performed by psychic powers, which are unusual because people can hide under the ground for 7 days without breathing, and their breath rate falls. Today there are experiments done where people can be measured what their heart rate is, what their breathing rate is, and drop so low that they can sustain themselves for several days in that state. It's a miracle because we like to call it miracle because we all don't do it, and somebody has done it, so it becomes miraculous. And similarly, there's one guy in America, he enclosed himself in an ice box and hung himself up so everybody could see that he's frozen in the ice and stayed frozen for 7 days and came out alive. Normally you wouldn't. But he said it's easier to live in ice than to live outside because you don't decay. He said, I added 7 days to my life. And the guy who went inside the ground in India, one man told me, by going there, by lowering my breaths, I increased my life by 7 days. I said, how? He said, life is not measured by days, it's measured by the number of breaths you take. The number of breaths is your life. And I reduced breathing, so now I can stay 7 days more of breathing. I said, I don't think it's a very good deal to lose 7 days of your youth, to live another 7 days in old age. But that's what you gained. So, miracles are only impressive because they're unnatural, because we don't see them regularly in nature. But it does not mean that they have any intrinsic value in it. It does not mean. Perfect living masters don't have to show any miracles because they don't have to claim that they are masters. They don't have to show they are masters. It's not there. They are not trying to canvass for anything. They are not campaigning for something. They are just come to take the marked souls back home. And those souls they will take back home no matter what. So their job is not to demonstrate anything to them, to anybody. In fact, they act so normal, they act so like ordinary human beings, sometimes we feel are more ordinary than us, ordinary human beings. So their ordinariness is what impresses us eventually because they become friends, as ordinary friends, as human beings. Otherwise, if they are high up in a pedestal, We can worship them, like them, but we cannot really be friendly with them. So in the spiritual path of perfect living masters, they don't show anything. They don't have to. But they show a lot of private miracles. Private miracles means your own life is undergoing a change. You can see the master. You can see the hand of the master in every activity that goes on. And then you can sometimes have extraordinary experiences which people say one does not show. Some of you attended a Bandara in Rice Lake, Wisconsin in April, and a friend of mine met me. He is from Detroit, and he came after 50 years. He saw me after 50 years and discovered my address from YouTube or something. And he came, and I remembered he was a very deep meditator. He was trying to do some computer work in those days, and he then excelled in computer work. And his LinkedIn biography, if you see, he is one of the top people in inventing new things in computer industry. But at the same time, he did equally well in his spiritual work. His clarity is what helped him in external work also. Now, I remembered that when we were in Detroit, he once called me on the telephone and said, I was walking on the street, and suddenly the whole street, the pavement itself, got lit up. All the houses I saw were lit up. The walls were lighted up. And I was not meditating. What happened? I said to him, when you were walking on the street, you had no other thought except yourself. It doesn't matter whether you're meditating or not. A miracle like that will happen if you are not thinking of anything except yourself inside. At any time, it will happen to anybody. But we think of outside things all the time. Therefore, such a miracle doesn't happen. You just had a glimpse. It lasted a few minutes only. Just had a glimpse of the astral stage where everything is like that. What you saw. You just had a glimpse and then came back to the physical as your attention went out to see what the road is, what the buildings are. Then same guy, we were walking one day in Manhattan, New York. And suddenly, two of us are walking. Suddenly he says, Ishwar, we have come up 400 feet up in the air. We are walking in the air. How come? I didn't tell him that we are still walking there and we are having an experience of walking up 400 feet. I said, yes, in this path of the masters that we are following, miracles like this can happen every minute if your attention is within you. That means he had a personal private miracle. These private miracles happen to almost all of those who are meditating regularly. And they can see, but if they tell somebody, they say, no, it must be hallucination, it must be a coincidence, must have been accidentally happened. So it's very difficult to share such an experience. It's good it is difficult to share. Because if you share these experiences, they don't happen again. Because then, by sharing an experience, an internal experience, you are really boosting your own ego by saying, I have that which you don't. And therefore the I becomes stronger. By not sharing, you are building up experiences within yourself, your progress becomes better. So the miracles that perfectly masters perform are based upon the actual experiences of individuals within themselves. And they are all miraculous. And once you are able to see those miracles and meditate regularly, you open your eyes, you will see miracles all around you. You will see miracles every moment of your life. They are miraculous events. What they call miracle, that is against the law of nature, you will find the laws of nature are different in every level of consciousness. The law of nature is different in a dream state. The law of nature is different in this physical, wakeful state. The law of nature is different in the astral stage. The law of nature is different in the causal stage, and there is no law of nature above that. So we don't have any nature and laws above our true self. The true self dissolves time and space. The true self dissolves everything that is happening here